Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Dari, a podcast specifically for building a brand strategy as a woman in the C suite or a thought leader. And today I want to talk about building brand equity and what that means. So we're going to build brand equity as a career currency. We're going to turn recognition into opportunities. And the goal is to connect visibility to tangible career outcomes. So that would be speaking engagements, partnerships, board seats, sponsorships for your company, anything like that, right? So, what is brand equity when it comes to personal branding? So, brand equity is not just likes and followers, right? We're talking about actual brand equity, recognition, trust, recall. So, how people think about you when you are not in the room. Your reputation is the compounding interest of consistent visibility. And the same goes for online. You can't just show up every once in a while and think, this is it. This is, this one time that I show up and I ghost and I'm not going to show up for 3 more months and then that's going to be an effective way to gain visibility. That's just not how it works. In the past, we used to be able to just kind of post and ghost and not really see any repercussions from it. But in order to build your authority online, you do have to show up consistently. Does that mean you have to post every single day? No, because I would not do that to you. You do not need to post every single day. That's exhausting. So, but you do need to show up consistently. So, if that is once a week for you, then that's what we can do. If you want to listen to my earlier episode, I did talk about how to maximize your time when it comes to content. So, I suggest you check that one out. So, let's move on. Why does a brand equity matter for executives? And it matters because, and not just visibility. We're not just talking about brand equity when it comes to your personal brand in person, what people already know you for, but brand equity online. And it translates to, internal respect does not equal external recognition, right? People don't, if they're not in the office with you, they're not seeing the hours that you put in. They're not seeing that you completed a project in record time or kind of how you move the needle within the company, right? Nobody really knows what's going on behind the scenes. So, although you might have a thriving career, if you're not talking about it, if you don't show that outwardly, no one is going to know. There will be no external recognition. So, doors open when your name is top of mind for opportunities. So, if you're talking about a speaking gig, for example, you are more likely to get chosen for a speaking gig if you are showing online that you speak or that you would be good at a speaking engagement, that you actually have thoughts and ideas behind the topics that you want to speak about, right? So show up. Visibility matters for executives because it's easier to get found when you are putting yourself out there. And it's easier to show your value, right? If you already have examples of yourself speaking, of what a written piece from you looks like, that's so much easier than scrambling to put something together if an opportunity comes your way. So the compounding effect is, we're going to call it weekly visibility for now, leads to recognition, which leads to trust, and then you get invitations. So it is similar to investing in small deposits. If you consistently put a little money aside in your savings account, or better, put money aside to invest into the stock market, your consistency and leaving your money in there compounds over time. Same thing happens on the internet or when you build your presence online and you show up and you're posting content, it all builds upon itself. So there's SEO opportunities there. People can go back and find your old content. So, again, these little small deposits that you're making with your content will lead to bigger visibility later on. Now, I want to talk about the equity portfolio framework, and that is proof, platforms, people, and pipeline, right? This is what leads you to, it's a framework about equity that leads you to more visibility, right? So, proof. What are we posting about? Testimonials, if you've been in the media, if you have received an award, if you have created amazing results, talk about them. Okay. Next is platforms. So, platforms is just where you're visible, where you feel comfortable. That could be LinkedIn, podcasts, I don't know, email lists. There's so many different ways to show up online and places where you can show up, Reddit forums. There's endless possibilities. And then we have to think about people. So, who is amplifying your message? Let's tap into mentors, peers, people who like to connect the dots and get people to meet each other. Let's get them on your side to help you spread your word and get the content out there for you. And And I think this is probably the most important because I like to build backwards. So, pipeline. Pipeline is the opportunities that you're targeting. That helps us narrow down so much of what your activities should be. So, for example, if you want to get speaking gigs, I implore you to create videos. If you want to get written up in articles, obviously write. So, the pipeline to me really is the most important, even though it's the last one here. To me, I might have to reorganize this because pipeline to me is the most important because when you know what you want, then you can build backwards and figure out, okay, what proof makes sense for this, what platforms make sense, uh, who d- who can use this content to get me more opportunities. So I might actually have to switch that around. All right. So what happens when you build equity? You will get more inbound opportunities. That means that you are not going to have to go out there and try to find the event coordinator that's putting on the conference that you want to speak at. You'll have things come in, even things probably you didn't know were available to you. For example, I speak about helping women entrepreneurs, women thought leaders, women in the C-suite, and I was approached by a company who um, holds conferences for women who are in their like graduate programs to go into their next path in their career. And that was really exciting. It wasn't something that I was looking for, but it was an opportunity that was aligned and made sense. And it was amazing to get a message without having to put myself out there, in a direct way. You're going to get strategic invitations to the rooms that matter. I like saying that because, we don't have to show up at every single event because it might not be relevant. So it's in the rooms that matter. And then lastly, you gain recognition as the go to voice in your industry. And I think that's really important. I think people kind of underestimate how much they can do by showing up online, even if it's a little bit, but you're consistent about it. People know, oh, you know, Sarah, she's the go to girl when it comes to HR and policies and what's happening. Um, Elizabeth likes to talk about, she's really great at speaking about, I don't know, I'm going to make up teaching and, what teachers need in order to succeed in their careers. So building that recognition is really important. It doesn't happen overnight, but these little tidbits that you give people really build you as the go to in your industry. And that's very important when it comes to building equity. And last, I want to talk about the micro habits that build equity. So, micro habits, just giving you some ideas on what you can post and put out there that can help you move the needle forward. So, you can share one proof point every week. So, that could be a testimonial, it can even be a piece of data that you find about your industry. For example, one of my favorite ones to use, and I'm sure you've heard this before in advertising, is that someone needs to see a message at least 7 times before they take action. Right. So, what can you share about your industry that's a data point that you can add your thoughts to? Publish consistently. That's a good habit. We just talked about that. So pick one platform. Don't try to spread yourself thin. Pick one platform, go all in on that one first, but publish consistently on that platform weekly. Let's start with weekly. If you can't get more than that, if you can do more than that, amazing. Keep it going, but at least weekly. Then reach out monthly to one connector. So find that person that, there might be within your company, it might be in your friend group. There's always somebody that sort of knows everybody, or at least they enjoy making introductions. And maybe you don't have that person in your network now, but if you pay attention to LinkedIn or a Reddit thread or X, there might be someone out there that you can connect with to kind of get your foot in the door when it comes to building a relationship with them. And they can kind of help you connect the dots or amplify your message. And then keep a running list of asks or goals, right? You want to speak at X event, you want to be on the board for X company. Maybe there's a position opening up soon in your company. How can you support showing that you have the thought leadership to take that position over with what you're doing online, right? So that's a quick list of micro habits that you can use to build equity online. And of course, I have a little bit of homework for you. So I want you to write down 3 proof points you've been sitting on. So, what 3 accomplishments do you have under your belt that you have not talked about yet? I'm sure that there are some that you have not talked about. You probably haven't talked about any, to be quite honest with you. A lot of women um, in leadership positions, we don't always toot our own horn, and we need to do that more. So, what are you holding back on? Right? Write them down. List a platform where you want more recognition. You can list more than one, but let's go with one. Just list a platform where you want to be a star. Maybe not a star, okay? Let's not go that far. Maybe just the one platform where, again, you want to kind of build your home, build your equity. And then lastly, identify one opportunity pipeline item. So again, maybe you want to speak at the Women's Leadership Summit, right? Maybe there is a position that you want to go after. What is that? What is that one opportunity that you would love? Okay. I hope that you found this useful. And again, if you are ready to turn your visibility into opportunities, you can apply for a VIP strategy session with me. This is where we map out your brand equity portfolio and connect it directly to the career outcomes that you want next, which again, in turn, gives you a roadmap for how to show up in order to reach your goals. And I'd love to help you with that. But until next time, I hope to see you online. Get out there, toot your own horn, and show everyone how amazing you are. Thank you.